there's no truth to any of the speculation or rumors at this point. Like that's just people drawing lines. And I think this is fourth or fifth time since I've been here that people had me out the door, and not one time have I taken an interview or even had a conversation with anybody about another job. We love living here. It's a great place to live. I love the outdoors. The summers here are incredible. And more importantly, I have a wife and two daughters, and they're very happy here. And so,
Wren Baker shuts it down again on the John Fredricks show. Let's talk about that, man, because it's kind of a little bit of a change up from the other day, in my opinion. Let's go.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking West Virginia football again today. This time, Wren Baker on the John Fredricks show. I believe it was yesterday. I hadn't had a chance to get to it quite yet, but this is separate from the other interview he did where he basically shut down these rumors. But in this case, I think with a little bit more assertiveness. And hey, Doris from Dingus, I think, in this one, for me anyways, a little bit more definitive. And I think there are probably reasons for that, but would only be speculation to really look. I think that Oklahoma had their number one guy from the get-go, and maybe Wren Baker was the number two guy or number three guy, somewhere in there. And I think they must have got their number one guy, in my opinion. So I think he can say that he hasn't had these conversations, but I don't know how much of an offer he actually got. So, and I'm not saying he didn't get an offer. He could have and turned it down. I mean, it could just be that too. So I don't want to make the assumption that, because I don't know how you could do worse than Wren Baker. And that's what we're going to talk about here. Some of the things that I found out the last couple of days that, I just think maybe get overlooked about Wren Baker because he's so good. Not everybody's his fan, believe it or not. I saw comments even the other day on the video I did about Wren that weren't the most flattering. So, I mean, I get it. He's not for everybody. A lot of people hold the Neil Brown extension over his head. That's what you want to do. I can understand, I guess. But for me, man, I come up with some reasons why I think we're extremely lucky he's not going anywhere. And we're going to talk about that because there are some things, especially in the last 6 months, that he's done to make us way more relevant than I think people understand. So we're going to go there. The wideouts who I think can flourish outside of the usual suspects we've heard named. I want to go over a couple guys today. We'll try to peek at a little bit of tape on them since it's a little bit of a slower news day. Obviously, the Baker news is pretty big. Something else he said in this interview, by the way, was pretty impactful. So I'm going to try to find that as well because I don't think, I don't know if a lot of people actually know this. It's not something that you hear publicized a lot. I knew about it, but I guess I just hadn't really thought about it. Let's get into this really quick. So talking about Wren Baker, I'll give you 5 reasons why we're very fortunate to have him not leaving for Oklahoma and staying at West Virginia. The number one reason I think right now that I can think of, he raised $10 million in 6 months. Guys, 6 months ago, he's at a luncheon openly said, according to them on this show as well, that West Virginia had about $10 million to go to be able to compete or compete at the cap level max. And you guys remember when he put out those competent statements saying, we did it, we're going to be able to do it. Did anybody ever ask how that happened? Do you think it just magically appeared? No, they fundraised. They fundraised. That's how they did it. They got donations. They got people to get together. Listen to Wren Baker explain how he came up with $10 million, guys, in 6 months.
And just talking through that with everybody, it really was. But you've been around.
Let's go back to the question first.
In the Big 12. But the last time we talked, you said you were about there. How close are you, and how did you raise $10 million in 6 months?
Well, we're going to be at the full cap. And I think it's just a product of everybody understanding in this state and at our institution how important our athletic programs really are, not just a branding institution, because everybody knows that athletics is a big brand for every campus. But you've been around this state enough to know, like, we are the preeminent, most visible asset the state has. And so it's important for a lot of reasons that Mountaineer athletics is competitive and successful. In just talking through that with everybody, it really was kind of everybody coming together and doing their part and trying to ensure that we had the resource that we need. So a lot of that money, we've increased revenue streams. We've got a couple of naming rights deals that we're working on. We've made some changes in the way that we do some ticketing and donation levels, which has driven some revenue. We also instituted a small athletic fee. We haven't had one of those before, but a lot of institutions do. But we were one of the few that had really no athletic fee and still didn't charge students for tickets. And so
that's pretty much it. There's more to it, but I don't want to play the entire episode, obviously. So basically, they had to get creative to come up with the $10 million. And when you really dive deep into what that looks like, the student fee was obviously one. Rich Rod coming back, I think, was a very strategic thing, right? Like it has worked. Like he says in the interview as well, it's worked because we have the best ticket sales that we've had since 2013. So that's also a pretty good reason. There's also, we mentioned the student fee, and another question that was asked is like, what happens? What if legislation goes through if the student fee can't work anymore? Well, Wren doesn't think that'll happen because there are other universities that have 40, maybe even $50 million coming from a student fee. So interesting to hear that from Wren. But yeah, obviously, number one reason, in my opinion, is he's keeping us financially stable. $10 million in 6 months. You can't do better than that. The bold decision to hire Rich Rodriguez is my number two. I think he showed courage and some strategic vision by bringing back Rich Rodriguez as the head coach this time around. Even though he's had a controversial departure 17 years ago, I think he recognized that Rich Rod has a proven track record to be able to rebuild programs. And also, I think it signals his willingness to make tough, high-impact choices that are ultimately, I think, going to elevate our football program, which is critical to our visibility and fan base engagement. The number three reason is I think he's navigated the most chaotic transition in West Virginia history and added a bunch of stability. Since arriving in 2022, obviously he's managed significant turbulence. We talked about it in the other show the other day, but obviously the Bob Huggins situation, the Josh Ireland situation, the Darren DeVries situation, the Don Plinselwhite situation. We can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about it. And that doesn't even include Raekwon Battle's situation, the lawsuit that played out. Like, there are so many things that happened during that basketball year. I'll have to go back and look at some of my old shows because I was griping about it every week. But they probably had the most snake-bitten, I would say, in the history of college basketball for sure, year. Like, if you count on all the things that happened, and I can't remember them all now, but it was, you start with Bob Huggins getting fired, then all these players leave, then they all come back, but for ransom in August or whenever it was, because we were right up against it. We had to have a team together. And then you don't actually get John Beeline, you get Josh Eilert. And so some players leave anyway. Then you look at Jesse Edwards breaks his hand right in the beginning of the season. Kirk Crease is suspended. Raekwon Battle has to go to court. You get Noah Farrakhan, who you weren't even supposed to get till the next year back on the course. So you lose stability for the next year because he's playing this year on the team that really wasn't worth a crap to play with. And that's probably 5% of all the things that happened in just one single year. So to say that Jose Perez left or Josh Eilert kicked him off the team, like, there were so many things. I can't even believe that. Seems like a dream now that even happened. So he was able to maintain stability and made some strategic hires. Obviously, Darren DeVries was one, but when Plitzelwhite left, also Mark Kellogg was the other. And don't forget, he had to replace Randy Mazey, who at this point in time, obviously, the greatest manager in our baseball team's history for now. So that's a lot, right? Number 4, I think he's driven athletic and academic success because we've achieved some pretty notable success in 23 and 24, finishing in the top 50 nationally in the Learfield Cup standings, top 8 of the Big 12. We had a 9-win football season one year. We had the men's soccer team that reached World Cup Final Four, or the College Cup Final Four. The golf team had its first national tournament qualification since the 40s. Academically, student athletes posted over a 3.2 GPA, a 3.29 GPA, and a 94% graduation rate, which is actually second in the Big 12. So obviously his focus on both athletic and academic excellence strengthens our reputation, and maybe it even help us in realignment someday if it ever comes to another round. Lastly, I think he's committed to West Virginia's unique role as an athletic director. Obviously, not just anybody can be, I feel like, the West Virginia athletic director, just like not anybody could probably be the LSU athletic director. There's a lot of cultural significance to it. You have to understand it. It's a state without professional teams. It's a state without any other Power 4 team. And you have to emphasize your role in branding and promoting the state of West Virginia. Wren Baker has learned and is excellent at doing that and knows exactly what to promote when it comes to West Virginia. I think he has a pretty good passion when engaging with fans. If you go look at the coaches' caravans as they do, he's pretty good with public interactions. And I think he's boosted some morale, even in some tougher times. Obviously, the ticket sales are going heavy right now. And overall, his dedication to representing the state and building community pride makes him ideal fit for West Virginia's mission. So obviously the decision to stay, as he expressed in that pretty clearly in that interview there, with his dismissal of the Oklahoma Rivers, ensures that, in my opinion anyway, West Virginia has continued to benefit from having Wren Baker and hopefully navigate to a new era of West Virginia sports, because he really is the unsung hero sometimes behind the scenes. And listen, I get it. He gets sung enough, but I feel like even still, people don't realize how fortunate we are to have Wren. Even though I know that I've upset him at times, I've been told. Doesn't mean that I can't acknowledge that he's one of the very best in the country. So, and he's come and talked to me a couple times. It's not like we haven't had him on the show or anything like that. We have, but it's been a couple years. So, I maybe we ruffled some feathers. I had to get over that. I know I can be controversial, so it's fine. Let's go to break. What we'll do on the other side is something kind of fun. Let's talk actual on the field stuff. What about these 3 wide receivers? I got 3 for you. Well, you know what? I'll give them to you after the break. 3 wide receivers that I think could really blow up this year for different reasons. We'll talk about it next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia brought to you by Monarch Money. And look, when you talk about Monarch Money, if you ever wish your money was spent easier for you, Monarch Money can do that. And look, if you're driving your savings into debt, planning a big purchase, if you want to do anything like that, maybe you want to put something in the piggy bank for a little while, Monarch Money puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal chief financial officer, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's more than just a budgeting app, though. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one easy, convenient place. And in addition to managing your money, you're also building your wealth, which is a good thing after all. Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your very first year. Don't do it now. Do it yesterday. And in segment 2, we crack our complimentary due. It's not my first one of the day. I would be lying to you if I told you that. It's like my third one of the day. I'm having a rough day. I had to go to a quilt museum today, all right? Don't tell me anything. Hold on. No, we went to a quilting museum today, and there were some pretty cool ones there. My mom likes to quilt. Doris Workman, I will tell my mom you say hello um, after the show. Thank you for saying that. Yes, we went to a quilt museum. It was more than just a museum. It was a fine art museum. They just opened the quilt museum today, Junior. So it was kind of cool though. Like these were pieces from some of them really old, the 50s. Some of them were newer, but there was this woman there. Last name was Ford, who over her course of her lifetime had won a bunch of blue ribbons with these quilts, and they had an entire room basically dedicated to her pieces, and she did like abstract art on quilts. It was pretty crazy. Anyways, I better shut up before I lose half the audience talking about quilts. Um, I know, why have I never heard of a quilt museum either? It's pretty wild. It's a thing, and look, I was probably the youngest guy there at 40. So if you can, like, it was a little geriatric up in there. All right, looking at receivers for the upcoming season, this is a great segue from quilting to the wide receiver room, because I think they can stitch together a pretty good group, if you know what I'm talking about. Skylar Beltran, Locked On Quilts. Love that. We're going to rename the show Locked On Quilts for sure. For those of you who don't know, Skylar Beltran is the man that invited me here. Make sure you blow him up in the chat and follow him, because he is a good dude, man, for sure. We also have a rodeo we're going to this evening, thanks to Skylar and those guys. So we're having a good time here in Provo, man. We're definitely having a good time. So, but you guys know I have a video to make about that. So we will cover mostly all of it at a later date. Okay. 3 guys. I don't know who to pick first, because I'm definitely not favoring one or the other. But I'll say, if you're asking me, I'm going to start with Logan Ramper as a guy that I think, when you look at Logan Ramper, he's 6'4", he's 220 pounds, he runs a 4.4840, and he's been productive in college. He's got some incredible tape that we're going to look at, and look at there. June 16th, he's one of the workout warriors of the week, and people I've spoken with say this kid has a ton of potential. Cam Abshire was another player that was very similar to Logan Ramper that was in the portal, and I think we got the better 6'4" white wide receiver. They were both 6'4" white wide receivers. So not that really matters, but that's just describing what we were choosing between. It was these 2 guys, right? So we're going to watch some Logan Ramper tape, because number one, I love watching Logan Ramper on tape, man. It's just, whenever you think about it, 4.4840 is wild. And just to show you guys what I'm talking about, because I kept it, Jaheim White released the 40-yard dash times for the receiver room, and here it is, right? So the 4.4 dash times for the receiver room, as you can see here, we get Logan Ramper. Let me see. That's him right there. 4.49. I apologize. It's covered up by the black, but Ramper is right there. And I already asked some other people. It's definitely him. A 4.4940 is what he ran. So back to this. So when you check out let's see. Let me get this turned off so we don't get flagged. All right, let's roll.
To the back guy. Come on.
There we go. So, obviously the one thing you ask when you watch him, obviously, is on against Power 4 competition, what's that going to look like? It's a good question, and I don't always have the answer for it, because it's different for everybody. But I know one thing. You can't teach 4.49 at 6'4", 220 pounds. And boy, does it show up on tape once you realize, like, oh my God, like this is a dude. And that's not the only thing he does well, obviously. At 6'4", he boxes other people out well. He uses that size and high catch point ability. But right here, there's at least 5 to 7 yards of separation between him and this guy here. Why is that? Because he's fast. That's why. He's a fast guy. We need that, right? We need a guy that's 6'4" that can stretch the field. But the great thing about Logan is you can send him over the middle. He's got a little bit of this in his game where he likes to bark at guys. If you want to throw the bubble to him, you see right here, he can get you 10 or 15. He breaks tackles. He's got a little side to side. Look at him hurdle a guy. He didn't even have a step. There's a one-handed catch down the sideline. When you think about that. So and then breaks the tackle to get another 30 yards to the touchdown. So, Logan Ramper's the guy I think not a lot of people are looking at. And if you look at this play from the very beginning, like you see the release on the outside here from him. First of all, this guy playing in zone, I don't know what you're doing, but you're giving this guy who is already fast a 10-yard cushion. You're cooked on the double move as well. Look at the double move he puts on him here. I know it's difficult to see at times. Logan Ramper here at the top of your screen. He runs just a double move, right? The quarterback pumps it, and he's gone. Pretty good move. And that's against a really good Fair State team that's 12-1. And number 22, we've looked up before. He transferred to a Division I school, Group of 5, not Power 4. But still a Division I talent, right? And here's what I like about him the most, man. He gets in there and chirps, and he absolutely abused number 22 in this game. Abused him. What has he got, 7 yards deep in the end zone here? And then he just chirps at him as they go. And then he goes 1, 2, 3. I love that, man. Here he is coming back to the ball with number 22 all over him, abused again. Number 22 may never recover from the abuse that he suffered versus Slippery Rock, which is my favorite name for almost any university. It's just a cool name. There he is again, man. He's a beast among men. And think about this, guys. He's been doing this at Slippery Rock, right? And this is what I think he's going to be the most dangerous in. Like, if you told me that Big 12 corners can run with him, I'd say, you know what? I'd believe that. There are a bunch of Big 12 corners that run 4.49. But here's where he's got the advantage. You're inside the 20, you're in the red area, or you're at the 22 here, basically the red area. And you're going to put a kid that's 5'10" or even 6'1" up on Logan Ramper, and you're going to throw it towards the corner of the pylon, whether your guy gets it or nobody gets it. And he's 6'4" with a 7-foot wingspan or whatever it is. It could be a little less. I'm just making a point. Big, long arms, right? And then here he does the box out. And then look at it looks like a kid, right? Trying to impede his dad from catching the ball. He sunned him up. That's what just happened. So Logan Ramper is obviously, if you can't tell already, I predicted a couple times on the show, I think he's going to make an impact. I don't know at what point in the year it's going to happen. I think there's a chance he could be possibly the greatest of all of our transfer receivers, except for obviously Cam Bond. By the way, Cam Bond not on this list because he's obvious. He's for sure our number one receiver, right? I'm talking about three guys that it could go either way on all these guys for the most part. I'm going to give you three. Here, the reasons for all three are different. But for Logan Ramper, it's mostly because he's 6'4", 210, 220, and he's getting a year in a D1 weight program that's elite behind Mike Joseph. What's he going to look like by the time the season rolls around? He's going to be in the best shape he's ever been in. He's going to have the most confidence he's ever had. And he's got these abilities where he runs 4.49 at 6'4", 220 pounds. You can't teach it. So we'll see what Logan Ramper does. But I'm expecting big things from him. Had him on the show, by the way, if you didn't know that. He's a great guy. I suggest highly that you go check him out and look at some of his other footage. We move on. We'll go to break first. 6 seconds, guys. Stick around. We'll talk about these other two guys who I think absolutely can make a big impact this year. All right, guys. Thank you for joining in. And somebody asked me yesterday if I was cheating on the Mountaineers. I know. You ever seen that meme, gasps in Spanish? That's almost what I did because somebody saw a BYU hat over my left shoulder yesterday. I'll be honest. I was given BYU hats, but you can blame Skyler. You can blame Skyler. You can also blame Lee. They brought them to me. And that one was my mom's. It's not even mine. But I told my mom this. Actually, I told Michaela, who works for these people today as well. I really have fallen in love with this community. Like, I've never met such great people. And look, I come from West Virginia. We have a lot of great people in West Virginia, nice people. Where like I've had people say to me, like they visit from out of town, like even in Southern Ohio where I've lived, we wave at each other when you go down the road. It's not a big deal, even if I don't know who you are. Like in some cultures, that's very foreign. Why are you waving at that person? Do you know that person? Like that kind of thing, right? Like, but we do it. It's just a thing, like to the point to where like I had a neighbor at one point in time that when I didn't wave at him, he thought I was mad at him one time. This is years ago, but it's just a little as you go down the road, your hands on top of the steering wheel and you just stick the fingers up. So, generally speaking though, like this place is like that, but hey, can we give you cookies and ice cream? Hey, do you need this? Do you need that? Like, it's just insane the amount of, and it's just, it reminds me of, and this isn't a bad thing either. The way the nuclear family looked in, let's say the 50s or the 60s, right? Is how a lot of people were raised here. It's just a little different. And I don't talk politically about my views on here a lot, but I am a big fan of traditional family, the nuclear family, the two parents, the whole thing, right? And so I believe that's important in this country still. Not that it can't be done other ways. Not everybody has two parents. I get that. Some people lose parents and things, but I'm a fan. I think, kids come out very, very well adjusted for the most part if you have those situations. So been a big fan of this place here, just so y'all know. All right. My thoughts on Bray and Robinson. Well, obviously Jaden Bray, I think, is somebody's asking this in the comments for those of you listening on podcast. So my thoughts on Robinson are if he gets to play, I do think he can be Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year candidate, at least an all Big 12 player. I mean, he had a third round grade on him in some places, right? So I think, obviously he's worth any two of almost any other player that we have, right? So unfortunately his situation, there's a court case going on right now. A lot of us are paying close attention to. If it goes that player's way, then I think Robinson will also get year eligibility. But then you have to ask the question, when does it stop? When do players stop suing the NCAA for eligibility? Does eligibility just go away? And we've got guys that stick around for 10 years and they're not good enough for the NFL, but they play in college for 10 years. Is that what we want? I don't want that. We've got guys that have played for 6, even 7 universities now in this day and age. I don't think it's going to stay that way, but I do think we look back in 50 years and think, holy cow, what a crazy time. Maybe I won't be alive for that, but somebody will, right? So, but yeah, my thoughts on Robinson is if he can play, he'll make a huge impact. And Jaden Bray, you have to slot him at the number 2 receiver, like as far as overall, right? Until proven otherwise. I've got Cam number 1, Bray number 2 for now. But I do think there are other guys like we just talked about with Logan Ramper that can overtake that. And another candidate, if of mine, that is a huge one that I talk about a lot, and that's Oran Singleton, or otherwise known, if you don't know any better, Man Singleton. He's another transfer from Eastern Michigan. And what does he have? He's got speed, baby, and a lot of it. So we're going to get over here and watch a little bit of his tape as well. And then we got one more guy to check out before we roll. Okay, so is it this one? No. There's obviously a couple. Some of the video on here is kind of not great. We'll try with this one first. I don't know if all of them are like this or not. It looks like this one is one of the bad ones. My apologies, guys. It seems like maybe this might be the best one we can find for sure. I'm not sure. Let me know if you can see this or not, guys. But if you can't, it's on his X page. So, he's got a ton of these going on. But this is This is obviously in a game setting. Here he comes in motion, and as you can see, what does he do well? He destroys people on routes. Did you guys see that route? I want to see if you saw the route. Here he is in motion right here, coming across the formation. He comes in almost like Canadian football. He comes out of motion into the full sprint, and then watch the move he puts on the nickel here. It just destroys him. Or no, it's actually on. I don't know who motioned over there, but what a heck of a move man puts on right here. Boom, boom, right? It faked the end, goes out, and just absolutely decimates him by a ton. It's an incredible move. Here you see, this is a little bit better. Well, no, maybe not. This is not the greatest camera footage, guys. I apologize. But this is that same move from a different angle, it looks like. Man Singleton, baby. He's got a lot of speed. He's got what I call football speed for sure. He gets the ball in his hands, and he just moves like a rocket. But as you can see, he's splitting 2-3 guys down the field here, and he's got a lot of speed, man. Even though that thing came out said he ran a 4.5, that's still really fast. I think he's faster than that. I don't know what happened that day, if he was dinged up or what. Yeah, this is way too much movement going on for that. But for those of you listening on podcasts, it's like a cell phone is oh, here we go. No, that's community college highlights though. Let's see. What's this one here? I don't know, guys. We might not be able to find any on here that are not grainy, It's kind of hard to see some of these. But obviously man does it all. He what he did at Eastern Michigan as good or better than anything is return game, punt return, kickoff return, that kind of stuff. But man, is he elusive when he gets the ball in his hands. That's what I think the best thing about him is. There you see him make a guy miss, cut. He's in and out. He's a really, really quick guy. He's definitely similar to what Rich Rod's had in the past, was like a Jock Sanders or Darius Raynaud. Those two guys are, like, in my opinion, the two top receivers of the Rich Rod era. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody. Well, Chris Henry. But you know what I mean. See, this is man in a nutshell right here. We'll watch this play and we'll move on to the next guy. So he runs an incredible out route to the outside. It's not the read the quarterback hasn't read that around to him just yet. Finally, he gets the ball. He's in space. He makes a move. He makes the guy miss and darts down the field. This is exactly who he is, right? And you can see, like, they ran this play for him, right? Yeah. So what they did was they ran 2 verticals, 1, 2, down the field, and all it does is it plays with the corner's eyes, right? You're expecting all 3 to run verts, and then off these 2, he peels off. It plays with the eyes, and then he's wide open basically off of that. Nice catch. Then he makes the move to the outside, and you can see how he gets up to speed really quickly. And that's what I like most about his game, I would say. I thought there was some punt kick return stuff on this one, but it might not be on this tape. Yeah, here we go here, I think. This is a punt return, right? Against Washington, of all teams, by the way. So these are Power 4 players, right? And you would think it's pretty dang impressive. Watch how much faster he looks than – so, like, I really do think man's a kid that you bring in and you put him back there, let him kick it to him. Now, obviously, Preston Fox will probably be a guy that's going to be tough to displace from back there, but you can see here man is really tough. I mean, look at this, across the field, making people miss. That's what he does, man. He is one of those kind of guys that just really tough to bring down. And last but not least, guys, we'll look at one more really quick. Mike said, Harry, what's the geriatric stuff? My bad, Mike. Justin Smith-Brown. Man, this guy is very impressive as well. I'm a big fan of him. 6'1", 215 pounds. He ran a 4.4 as well the other day. Let's pull up our thing again so we can see it. This is going to be used forever and ever. But if you look at Justin Smith-Brown's time, let's see. Gerard Bowie, Jaden Bray, Tyshawn Dews, Preston Fox, Rodney Gallagher, Christian Hamilton, Jordan McCants. Let's see. Justin Smith-Brown ran a 4.4 flat 40 right here, right? Which is I believe, is it the fastest time outside of Sincere Bowers? maybe the fastest time besides Sincere that we know about on this list. Obviously, this doesn't count our DBs, but yeah, if you don't know this list I'm looking at here, or if you're listening on podcast, Jahi might release this. This is a 40-yard dash times when they did and these are the 10-yard splits. This means this is what you timed at 10 yards. This is what you timed at 40 yards, and so on and so forth. I don't know how I mean, you don't see the full screen, so I don't know how far they went on all these. Obviously, these are offensive linemen at top you don't really care about. You got the running backs, and you got Sincere Bowers that ran a 4.35, which is a blazing speed. But if you look on here, Justin Smith-Brown ran a 4.4. You've got Cam Vaughn ran a 4.41, which is just like almost infinitesimal, or however you say that word, like just a barely bit more. Even looking like Gerald Williams ran a 4.5. Jeff Weimer ran a 4.59. Armoni Weaver ran a 4.62, which was kind of shocking to me. Cam Baum at the 4.4, though. Grayson Barnes at tight end ran a 4.7, which is good, not elite. Rodney Gallagher runs the 4.58, which that tracks based on what you see on film. He's not elite fast, right? He's quick more than he is fast. Christian Hamilton, the North Carolina guy, runs a 4.56. Jordan McCants, one of the transfers from Jack State, runs a 4.58. Camden Pitchford ran the 4.89, which was pretty shocking. You know, like I wouldn't write these in stone either, especially with freshmen and younger guys. You can get faster, and you can also have a bad day. You can also have a good day that's not exactly always going to be, you know, you can run a 4.3 one day and maybe never touch it again, you know. It all depends on the time, who's timing it, whether it was electrical, digital, hand timed, whatever. Like there are a bunch of different, you know, but within reason you can expect, like if a guy runs a 4.35, he's damn fast. If a guy runs a 4.4 flat, he's damn fast. This is one of the things that we use, right? It doesn't matter a ton, but I do think it matters. It's something to go by, especially if you got 6'4 like Ramper is. So anyway, Justin Smith-Brown runs a 1.58 10-yard split and a 4.4 40-yard dash. Well, what does that tell you? It means that he doesn't get up to top speed as fast as, like, well, we'll go back to Sincere Bowers again, right? Who runs a 1.49 10-yard split. Is absolutely elite. It's really hard to get to the little 1.4s and the 10-yard split. So what that means is he's getting up to fast immediately. I bet if you look at, and I haven't seen it, or I don't know it off the top of my head, but if you look at a guy like we just looked at it a minute ago, Man Singleton, his is probably good too. Let's try to find it. Oran Singleton, a 1.53. So like I said, you know, his is very quick as well. 10-yard split. So all that means is if you run, let's say you run 60 yards. When you get to 10 yards, you did that 1.5 seconds, right? When you get to 40, you did it in 4.5 seconds or whatever. That's all this is. So anyway, back to Justin Smith-Brown. He is a 4.4 guy, and boy, does it show up on tape. And he's got positional size at 6'1". It's very important. So let's look at him on tape with those metrics in mind and kind of put a little bit of logic to it. Let's do it. All right. Where's the one? Here it is. 1 minute. It's only a minute long, but it's
Phoenix again, back over the middle, cut and in. Just Smith-Brown puts.
I love that opening.
Phoenix again, back over the middle, cut and in. Justin Smith-Brown.
Very nice. I wish we could listen to the audio, guys. So one of the on this first play, every time I watch it, one of the two things I think of is, holy crap, Justin Smith-Brown is fast, but also whoever their quarterback was has a cannon. This lefty, like, pay attention to it on the tape a little. This kid really throws a nice ball, and I'm really curious. I haven't looked. I've always wanted to. I always try to make myself remember, because a lot of times when I watch a good receiver, I'll notice the quarterback sometimes. We had this happen the other day. We were watching a high school player that we just signed, wideout. And I said, holy crap, man, his quarterback can sling that thing around. I wonder who he is. Well, Dylan in the chat went and looked it up. He got signed to Buffalo, which is a group of 5 school. I knew he was good, like so sometimes it's easy to tell. Anyways, this kid has those vibes. As he got hit, he tossed that thing in a perfect ball. But I mean, here's what you want to see. Watch. I mean, you get to see it for a long time. He comes into frame right here. First of all, pay attention to the throw. Boom, he's getting hit right there. Boom. Right? But like Justin Smith-Brown comes in the frame right there. Boom, there he is in the frame. From this point on, watch how fast he runs to catch up to this ball. It's definitely 4.4 speed. Check it out. Super impressive. Not a lot of guys can catch up to that. And then, every time you see him, he's running away from everybody. It's another sign. Here he is again. Down to 5. I mean, he's gone. What a great catch that was. And here he is on a little bubble. Toss it to him, and he's gone down the field. This is another guy that we could look at. And look at that move there. Oh, every time I see that play, I think that's just disgusting. And again, I guess it's a bad day for number 22 because this number 22 just got really abused. I mean, he just took him into the depths and said, bah, bah, abused. Like he's got literal mental scarring from this. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not in therapy over this. Look at this double move. So he jukes him to the right, or jukes him to the left, jukes him to the right, and then does some crafty footwork and leaves him like, what just happened? His ankles are literally broken over it. Everybody, if you know who this player is for SCSU, no, that's South Carolina State. That's this team. For the other team, send him some condolences because he needs it after this. Disgusting. I wish we could see the whole play. Another dart. Yeah, this quarterback here puts it on the money for him. Really good balls, man. That sounds horrible. But he throws really good footballs. So obviously Justin Smith-Brown is another one I like to point out that nobody's talking about him. Literally nobody. That I'm the only one I know of. I know I'm not just trying to be that way. Like here he is, 4.25. No way. There's no way he runs a 4.25 right here.
What you ran? What they said the first time?
I have not seen this.
Oh yeah. Chicken.
Listen, it's not. He says 4.25 right here, and he's got his coach tagged in it. No way he ran 4.25. That's hand timed. So take a 10th off or 2. I would say that 4.4 is probably legit though, right? 4.25 is like it's only been done a couple times ever. So anyways, guys, that's all I got, I think, for this one. What's this one? Is this another South Carolina State video? I'm down to watch it. No, this is yeah, it is another South Carolina State video. I don't know if I've seen this one, so this might be cool. And look, he's actually 6'5" if you count that afro. Oh gosh. Just trying to see if there's any other plays I haven't seen yet. That was nice. But yeah, he's a smooth athlete, man. I'm telling you, I think our portal class of receivers is severely underrated. I can't wait. And that's why whenever the Retzloff rumors were flying around the other day, secretly, I wasn't that mad about it because he can sling that thing around. And I think we got receivers. Not everybody, I think there are people who just don't realize how good our room can be yet. I think it's going to be deep. I think we're going to have 6 or 7 guys that are all pretty good. And like, we'll see. And especially if a guy like Gallagher does what he's supposed to do, like and turns into who he was supposed to be. Oh, now you're talking. So I think I've talked probably long enough on this one, guys. I appreciate you for joining in. I got a rodeo to get to. which sounds funny to say out audibly. Cannon Katzer, I believe, is oh, the list was up over top of you guys. No way. Sorry, guys. I didn't know it was up over top of the. I didn't know it was up over top of the screen like that. It wasn't on my end. Sorry, y'all. I obviously I was looking at my screen the whole time. Well, that's what I get, right? So, anyways, those guys are really good. So, Justin Smith Brown, we kind of missed some of his highlights. I'll tell you what I'll do though. I'll go back and we'll look at the Justin Smith Brown, that first catch again, because I think it tells you the entire story. So we'll do that really quick, just because I feel bad. All right. So I can't believe he's got a thing of him running 4.25 up like that. That's wild. That's like another level of fast. If he ever listen, I don't believe he actually ran that fast. Maybe hand timed he did. I'm not gonna. I want to ask somebody if he'll answer me or something. I want to ask somebody about that because that's like. If he runs 4.25, then I'll pencil him in at number one receiver this year. All right, let's watch this first play again. That I wanted you all to see from the beginning anyway, about him. Not this one, but the one where he's got to catch up to the ball, because it shows you everything you need to see about him, in my opinion. Here it is. Here he is coming into the frame right here. Okay, so what I like to say is this ball's overthrown, and he's got to catch up to it somehow. He's in black. So watch him get on his hump and absolutely run this thing down. You can't do it without elite speed, and he's got it right here. I mean, he is on it right there. I bet that's probably close to as fast as he's ever ran. I mean, that's as hard as his body could pump it out, buddy. I mean, he was like, you know how you can, when somebody's running fast, they kind of got this like this movement to their body. Yeah, that's a crazy good catch. But yeah, Brown, man, is another guy, like I've been saying though, that let's just keep your eye on him. I don't know. There's a lot that comes into, like, number one, I think he's absolutely, as far as physically, ready to play. Number two, I think he's got a lot of seasoning. He's played a bunch of ball, just not this level. Number three, he's got size. He's 6'1". He runs a 4.4. Like, those are all great things. Can he learn the offense? Is he hard edge? Can he stop block? Like, those are all things we don't know, and you're going to have to be able to do with Rich Rod. But at 6'1", he should be a good blocker, just like Jaden Bray, guys. By the way, Jaden Bray is going to be a huge asset for us this year as a blocker. Just go ahead and write that one down, because he's just already really good at it. And at his size and strength, it's going to be a big, big boon. And Logan Ramper, same thing. Can you imagine in our run game this year having 2 6'4" wide receivers out there to block, and then you've got a tight end and 6'6" out there to block, or you want to go Genross 6'7". Like, we got a lot of different. I just hope we can put this together. Like, it's been so much. 74 new guys. I wish we had them all for a year, but we don't. All right, guys. I appreciate you for joining in, and we will absolutely be back tomorrow with another one. I leave tomorrow, heading back to you, but I'll be having to stop at a hotel somewhere along the way. Not going back through Denver because of that elevation, but we're going to go through, I think, Wyoming possibly. So I hear it's a boring drive, but I'd take that over 12,000 feet or 13,000 feet. All right, guys, I'm off to the rodeo. I'll see you guys on the next one, and I'm out.